Jim Olson is brilliant, iconic, creative, passionate.
Jim Olson is a passionate, intelligent, determined, never retiring soul.
Jim and I first had contact in 1983, and I expected to be intimidated by him because he was already an environmental legend and I was just starting my career. But instead, he was gracious, he was accommodating, and he was brilliant and a good teacher, as he still is. I thought of him as the first real environmental attorney in the state who was on the side of the environment. He was the model for modern environmental law in the state. And he took me under his wing and really taught me a lot about the Great Lakes and also about the public trust doctrine, which is something that stayed with me for these last almost 40 years.
I would call Jim a water watcher. He's done such a great job and is really such a symbol of why we pay attention to water and how it's important. So I am really grateful for that.
Jim Olson is a pioneer. Jim Olson is a prophet. Jim Olson has set the path for many of us. Jim Olson has helped put the concept of public trust on the public radar, not only in the United States, but around the world. Now people in Europe are beginning to talk about water as a public trust. Jim's work will last a great long time. He has really been a visionary and an advocate in a way that has really profoundly affected all of us. I mean, I've quoted him in all my books. Jim Olson's in every single book. And the work that Flo is doing and the passion with which Jim advocates for water and for public trust, and yet does it in such a gentle and strong way, and gentle at the same time. You know, he doesn't grab you by the throat. He speaks into your heart.
Jim Olson is still there, plugging away every day. I mean, I'm impressed with how much effort he puts into this. He really is a martyr, in my opinion, for clean water. And thank goodness for Jim Olson.
Jim Olson is a name out of my past. We were high school classmates at Traverse City Senior High School, and we were fellow Traverse City ski team members. I'm sorry to say that he very often beat me through the slalom course. He was a great skier, and I always had a lot of respect for Jim. I remember reading a piece that Jim wrote called "The Man Who Walked to Work" that was about my father. I read it some number of years ago, and he did document his exchanges with my father and the letter that Dad wrote on his behalf recommending him to law school.
Jim Olson's a serious guy, and he's a seriously smart guy. He's chosen to focus on the public trust doctrine as an essential element of good environmental outcomes.
It was the wisdom of Michigan's founders to include that doctrine in the Constitution, but unfortunately, it's been overlooked for far too long. Jim's insight that the public trust doctrine is what we need at this moment in time, of corporations exploiting the very last remnants of what we have as a community and as a world, I think it's truly revolutionary, and I'm so appreciative that Jim is here to make that happen.
When you're spending time with Jim, you're not going to waste your time. You're going to get to the point, you're going to learn something, you're going to figure out what the next steps are, and that the advice and information that he gives you is something you can take to the bank.
See, Jim Olson is both what I think of it as a legal scholar, but I also say he's a morally grounded creature.
Well, I love Jim Olson like a brother. I've known him, I don't know, I was trying to think on the way over 30, 40 years at least. And we were first drawn together by writing, because Jim's, as many of you know, is a fantastic writer. He's a great poet. He's a singer-songwriter. A lot of these people don't know this about Jim, but I love Jim for his deep spirit and his fierceness. He's a very, I'm talking about in the law, he's very fierce, but he's not mean. He's the fiercest, least mean person I've ever met in my life. And he knows about so many things. The width of his knowledge is only matched by its depth. He knows everything about water law. You know, he'll downplay this, but I think he's the best water rights attorney in the country. I mean, he'll say no, but his mind is so voluminous about case law and precedent that if you mention a term, it's there. It's not like he doesn't search the sky to find the answer. It's right there, and it's instantaneous. So whenever I'm with him, it's really he really pushes me to think hard and to think about some deeply personal and spiritual things, and that's my connection to him. He's really a really fine person.
Flow organized formally in 2011, thus our 10th year this year. Our goal then and is now to pursue urgently work that cuts through the politics and sustains the communities and the rights of people with water that is accessible, clean, safe, affordable, all in accordance with public trust principles to promote overall justice as we face what we face in this century. We're upholding this public trust and these principles to restore water law and to protect water quantity, quality, and this access and equity of water and life in all of the watersheds of the Great Lakes Basin.